So in this video, we're going to talk about using the Proscenium theater show file. But we're going to start here in the Light Lab so that we can explain a few things. If you're working in the Light Lab now, this will help you sort of understand the differences in using the way this show file is set up compared to the way the Proscenium show file is set up. So far we've been using these 10 channels inside this Light Lab file. When I click on one of these lights, let's say I click on channel 5, and I want to look at its attributes. So I'm going to click on our patch, which, if you remember, takes us to the deeper attributes and the controls of any of the fixtures in the console that we have going on. When we look at channel 5, notice how channel 5 is a source 4 LED luster direct auto yoke. What that means is it means that light, these lights that are hanging in the air, and if you notice, they're all the same kind of instrument, auto yokes. Auto yoke means that's a moving light. It's actually an intelligent light that will move on its own. So I'm going to go back to my magic sheet here. And what I mean by is one of the ways that we can notice that it's a moving light is I'm in Q1, and when I go to Q2, my lights are actually physically moving in space. So let's watch some of the cues I've written. When I go to Q3, we can see that light is actually moving, right? And when I go to Q4, these lights here are moving, those fixtures are moving. And when I go to Q5, we see that these fixtures in reality actually move. So that's called an intelligent fixture, a moving fixture. Those are moving yoke fixtures that actually allows the physical fixture itself to move in space. That's called an intelligent light. Well, we don't always work with intelligent lights. Sometimes we work with conventional lights like ellipsoidals, Fresnels, park cans, etc., that don't move on their own. That's the case in the Proscenium file. So we have to talk about how to focus your conventional. The word conventional means an instrument that is not an intelligent instrument. It doesn't move on its own. It is a conventional theatrical fixture. And that's what's in your Proscenium file. That's also an overwhelming majority of the lights that we'll work with in the Burke Theater, or for the most part of your career, you'll work with a lot of conventionals. So let's open up the Proscenium file. So I'm going to go here to my triangle and open up ETC's EOS browser, right? And if I want to save my file, I'm going to click Save As, and I'm going to save it, of course, as something that's not the root file, my own file. In this case, I don't really have any work I want to save, so I'm going to open. I'm going to go to my desktop where my files are. I'm going to go to Lighting Tools, and I'm going to go to the Augmented 3D Proscenium show file and double click on that file. It'll ask me if I want to save. I want to continue without saving. I don't have anything I really want to save. And do I really want to open that file and all of its attributes and preferences? Yes, I do. So it's going to take a second or two here, and my Proscenium file is going to open up, and I'm going to close the browser. And then the way this file is set up, it doesn't give me a magic sheet, so I can use over here whatever I want. I can click in here and choose from the long list of tabs that ETC has given me that can appear in these windows. Over here, I have my 3D Proscenium file. So I can get my cameras set up, right? So here is the home camera, the home view, which I like. I like to zoom it out just a little bit to get more of an audience's view of the whole stage. And then by long clicking, I can update that. And then view number 1, I like to think about it being a little further out. That's like my full stage view. And I can update that by long clicking view number 1. So let's imagine I've gone through here and I've got my views set up, right? Let's talk about using these lights. So for now, I'm going to grab this guy right here. And notice Nomad is telling me this is channel 152, right? And he's here. And I can turn him on a few ways. I can click intensity and it puts it there on my command line. I want him at full, so that's 100 and enter. And notice he comes on at full. Now, in the other show file, the Light Lab, I can long click on my theater or a long click in the 3D space, and we can move that guy around and focus it. We can't in the Proscenium theater. That's because this is a conventional, and it's kind of like forcing us to use it like a conventional in the fact that it does not move on its own. Right? I'm gonna go ahead and turn these two guys off real quick so we can see what's happening. So I'm gonna deselect, I'm gonna grab this guy, and I'm gonna slide down here and click intensity. I'm gonna type in 0, enter, and those guys are gonna come off just so we can see this guy by himself, right? So channel 152 is open here, but I want to do some other things to him, including focusing him. In order to do that in the Proscenium file, I'm going to have to go to the patch feature. So I'm going to slide over here and I'm going to click patch. And again, this takes us to the blind, which means we can make decisions here without the audience seeing it. That's what makes everything glow blue in my space. So if I want to move him, if I want to affect what he's doing, I need to go over here and select him. And notice it's taking me to channel 152. It tells me the kind of instrument which he is. It's just listed as dimmer because this guy is a conventional instrument, right? Now if I want to move him and I click on my 3D space and long click, he's going to move the way the moving or the intelligent instruments did, but I have to be in the blind in order to make that happen. So now if I go back to live, you can see this guy has changed and moved its focus. In the live option, when all of this is golden, I can long click on the 3D space and he will not move. So in order to focus a conventional fixture, we have to be in the patch function, in the blind, with everything highlighted blue. And then we can go in and start to change all the parameters of this instrument. Like if I want to change his shutters, I can highlight him. Let's tell him what we want to do. And you see that my channel table over here reflects my choices of what it is. I can start to adjust his focus this way, which we showed in an earlier video. I can click on shutters, and this is where I can start to adjust the shutters of that instrument and shape it the way I want it to, right? And let's say I wanted some sort of shape like that. Terrific. I'm going to reset him. If I wanted a larger beam angle, I could click on here and change his beam angle to, let's see, let's try 36. Nope, that didn't quite work. I didn't have him selected. So I can change his beam angle to 36. And you can see that he's a bit wider. And again, because I'm in patch, right? And because I'm in the blind, I can long click on my 3D space over here and move him around, right? If I have him selected. Let's select him and long click, and he should move. Yep. Notice if it stops moving the instrument, you can click on FPE set, which means the focus and position setting. You can click on that and it'll allow you to move him if he's being stubborn and he's not moving. So let's imagine I want to focus this guy over here on this part of the stage, right? But I don't want him to shine on my legs or on my cyc. So with channel 152 selected, I can click shutters. And I can grab that shutter and bring him in. And let's say I want it to be in a straight line with the shape of my curtains, and I want it to stop right there. And then I can grab the top shutter and bring it in and swing it over at an angle to where it's right at the edge of my cyc. So now I have a great area light without having that spill onto my cyc or onto my curtains. I can also change his color. I can change the gobo inside. Let's see, let's go to database. And here's the gel. So I can click on that and I can type in the type of gel that I want here and change his color. And I can, let's go back to live table. Let's go back to patch. I can also, just like we did in a former video, we can highlight that guy. You always have to make sure he's highlighted. Sometimes you'll lose him by clicking off of him. If I type in gobo, I can go here to my gobo manufacturers. Let's say I want Apollo, and let's do a glass gobo. And let's say I want a really cool sort of multicolored sparkly effect there, right? And once I turn my house lights off, you can see he's not super, super bright because that's only one light, right? He's not super, super bright. You can see here how I get a really, really terrific, cool, psychedelic colored gobo there as well. And if I go back to live table, we can see that those changes have taken place in the theater as well. So I'll turn my house lights back up. So that's the difference between moving lights and conventional lights. When you want to make changes with conventional lights, you're going to have to go into patch and use the functions here that are in the attributes, the database, and the patch feature of augmented 3D. Again, it's going to tell you because it's going to glow blue. Your fonts up here are going to go blue. Your text is going to go blue. And up here in the corner, it's going to tell you that you're working in the blind. That keeps you from accidentally moving conventional lights the way that moving lights would work. And it makes you have to go through an extra step in order to focus those conventionals. So let's try one more. I'm going to back out here and I'm going to go all the way back here to my house left. Boom. And I'm going to click this guy and I want to focus him. I can turn him on by clicking intensity at 100, enter, right? But I don't want him focused on my proscenium. I want him focused somewhere else. So I'm going to go to patch. I'm going to make sure he's highlighted, right? And then if I double click on the 3D space, or sorry, if I long click on the 3D space, he's going to interact and move focus with me. So let's imagine I want him sort of in the same area as this other guy here, but I also want to shutter it off. So when I make sure that he's highlighted, I'm going to click shutters. Notice it's reflecting the color that's in that light, which is really cool. I don't want to pull in that shutter. I want to pull in this shutter. And I want to swing it around to where it is off of the curtains. And then I'm going to pull in this shutter and swing it around so that it helps me shutter off of my cyclorama. Something like that. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to pull him in just a little bit and adjust the angle. Awesome. So that's the light. That gives me a similar area light. And we can keep playing with this until it's perfect. But it lights that area, right? And if I wanted to, I could go in and go into database and click gobo and click Apollo and give him the exact same gobo as I had in the other guy. And now I have sort of a doubled up gobo look there. And when I've made all the changes I want to, I can go back to my live table and see what this looks like the way the audience would be seeing it. So just remember, anytime you're working with a conventional fixture, you have to move it in the patch because it doesn't move automatically on its own. You wouldn't be able to tell. The reason why they do this is if it's a moving fixture, you can actually use the keyboard of the ETC Ion console to move it while you're sitting at the keyboard. However, If those fixtures were conventional fixtures, we would actually have to go up on the catwalk and manually move those instruments around. So this kind of helps us, is sort of a reminder that we can't move these from the console by needing to go into patch to move these around and to change their attributes. Kind of helps remind us that we couldn't also do it virtually or digitally from the ETC Ion console. Great. So also another thing to think about the Proscenium file is if you rotate around, let's go to the top view. Let's go here, and let's go here. And notice we have all these beautiful stage electrics, the same way we do in the Burke Theater, which we'll talk about more a little bit later as we're using this file. But notice there's several different types of instruments in here. So if we go to patch and we click on this guy here, we can see that he's actually a color source par. So he's a little bit different than that other conventional. If we click on this guy, he's just a regular old source 4 ellipsoidal, which we'll talk about. So in this file, you have several different types of instruments located in this file. There's a moving light right there. Let's see, let's unclick these guys. Unclick, unclick. And we are looking at channel 301, which is a releve spot direct, which is a really nice moving light instrument that is used in theater quite a bit, very popular. So that's an intelligent instrument. So you can see even in this file, there are several different types of instruments. This guy is a conventional. That guy is a conventional. This guy out here, let's see what he is. He's a conventional. Again, these guys in here are the color source pars. So we have a lot of different types of instruments for you to play with, both some moving intelligent lights and several conventionals. Great.